අයිබෝවන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා. ඔබ සාදරයෙන් පිළිගන්නවා අපේ රේඩියෝ වැගබෝන් වලට. අපිත් එක්ක ඉන්නවා දැන් මිස්ටර් පල්ලෙබෝ.
Meet Palebo, a digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world. This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
We're back in Sri Lanka for the third episode about what this country has to offer. And now it's time to leave Colombo. I'm on a press trip here, invited by Sri Lanka Tourism, and I'm exploring the country with 6 other content creators. Let me introduce them. It's Joanna from The World in My Pocket.
I am a content creator at theworldinmypocket.co.uk.
Romina from MissTourist.com.
I'm a content manager and I work with Julia from MissTourist.com.
There's Viola from TheBlessingBucket.com.
Hello, I am Viola. I am a writer at TheBlessingBucket.com. I am currently based in Toronto and I write about female adventure travel.
Italian Serena from The Peter Pan Collar.
I'm a lifestyle blogger and you can find me as the Peter Pan Collar on Instagram and on my website, which is thepeterpancollar.com.
And the 2 Greek women, Maria and Katarina.
Katarina.
From It's All Trip to Me.
We have a blog together. It's all trip to me, like it's all Greek to me. Yeah, you get me? Yay. I'm the writer.
I'm the photographer.
Find the links in the show notes and on theradiovagabond.com.
Cheers.
This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels around the world. Hotels25.com. This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
Even though we're only 7 people and could easily fit into 1 minibus, Sri Lanka Tourism have put us up in 2 minibuses for extra comfort. Even though the distances aren't that vast, it's going to be a full day of driving with a few stops on the way.
Today we're taking a longer drive to the eastern part of the island. It's called Trincomalee. It's a city in the northeastern part of Sri Lanka, 237 kilometers, 147 miles northeast of Colombo. So with these roads, it's a 5 to 6 hour drive, maybe a little bit longer with stops on the way. And we just made one stop here at a pineapple farm. It's called Pineapple Village, and it's the first time I've seen a pineapple farm.
This is small plant. This is a mother tree. Okay. When we plant one pineapple tree, after 1 year we will start to we are getting profit. Big leaves, 16 big leaves. After only going to start fruits. Okay, and after 4 months we can eat. Shall we taste fresh pineapple?
Small plants, call them pineapple trees, but it's more like a small bush that kind of looks like a big top of a pineapple that you cut off and put in the ground, but that's not exactly how it works. And then they grow in the middle of a plant. And they just chopped off one and cut it out into slices, and it's absolutely delicious. Very, very sweet and very, very delicious. A thing that I've never tasted before. Here, when I get a slice of pineapple and then they put salt and chili on it, I thought, what is that? Salt and chili on a sweet pineapple? But it's actually kind of good. It gives it a certain kick, and it's very nice. They also grow papaya fruits and red bananas. They told me that it's the only place in the world where they grow the red bananas.
If you're one of those people that have shared this podcast on social media, or maybe just told a friend out there in real life, I just want to say thank you so much. That means so much to me. We also stopped at a Buddhist temple called Ridee Viharaya. Ridee means silver and Viharaya means temple. So the Silver Temple. It's built under a rocky mountainside, and looks absolutely stunning.
I'm inside the Silver Temple itself, and this is built. It's filled with beautiful Buddha statues. One more astonishing than the other. There's also a reclining Buddha, and it's built under a huge rock, more like a mountain, and. The most astonishing thing is that they did this more than 2,000 years ago. I have no idea how they managed to do that. I asked one of the people, and he said, well, the legend is that the king had 2 giants to help him do it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible.
Ridee Viharaya had its beginning in a series of cave dwellings on the rocky hillside. In the early days of Buddhism here in Sri Lanka, these were once inhabited by meditating monks, and the monks are still here. The main monk has agreed to meet and greet with us. He looks exactly like you would expect a Buddhist monk to look like, dressed in orange and completely shaven, including the eyebrows, and very smiling and welcoming. Our guide Sasa was very respectful to this religious man.
He's a very kind monk, and he always welcoming people to the temple. And if you want to stay this overnight temple, he will look after everything, the foods and accommodation, everything free. And this temple will never charge even a single rupees from the tourists, all free.
That's a part of the Buddhist spirit.
That the Buddhist spirit, real Buddhism is that.
Yeah. You can just see it in his face that he's a kind man.
Yes.
You heard right. They let people stay here for free if they want to come here and meditate, have a so-called pilgrim rest. Their website says that the pilgrim rest is equipped with modern facilities with AC and non-AC rooms established in the calm and quiet surroundings of the Silver Temple, and that it's free of charge for devotees.
Totally free for the foreigners.
They actually showed us one of those rooms that people can stay in.
Wow.
Totally free.
It's like a normal modern hotel room with a stunning view, completely free.
That's why that monk explained they have built several cottages for the tourists and who are people visiting to the temple. They can have meditation and they can stay in the temple.
And it's free, but I expect that you can give a donation if you like.
Yeah, if you like, you can donate, but it's all thing free.
But it's not something that's mandatory.
Yes.
No. It's very nice.
It's the main monk's responsibility that guests are feeling welcome here. After the tour of the grounds, including the temple itself, they served tea and cakes for us. At the end of our visit, Sasa gave the monk some money as an appreciation of the time he spent with us, but the monk simply wouldn't take it. Sasa tried to insist, but there was no way he wouldn't take it. I was wondering how the whole thing is funded, because it can't be inexpensive to maintain, and Sasa tells me that they get some money from the government.
From the cultural departments and the government provide some money, but it's not enough for the whole maintenance things. So people around the village, they have some kind of a committee and to help to the temples.
If you want to learn more about the Silver Temple and maybe even go and meet the monk and some of the small monkeys that are jumping around everywhere, you can start by a visit to their website, riharaya.lk. It's quite tricky to spell, so I put a link in the show notes and on the radiovagabond.com. Coming up, we go to a Hindu temple and get to hear stories about the best, strongest, most powerful king this country ever had. A man with anger issues, many arms, and a great mustache, who, by the way, also invented flying 5,000 years ago. That's in a minute on the Radio Vagabond when the program continues. Last week, I launched another podcast that you might like if you're into traveling and especially travel content creation, like blogging, YouTubing, Instagramming, or podcasting about travel.
Welcome to Travel Matters, the official podcast of T-Bex. Here are your hosts, the radio vagabond Palabo and T-Bex CEO Rick Calvert.
It's called Travel Matters, and it's the official podcast from T-Bex. I'm co-hosting with T-Bex CEO Rick Calvert. I was just at T-Bex North America in Billings, Montana, and we've been recording some interesting conversations that we're going to share in future episodes of Travel Matters. You can find this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for Travel Matters.
It's Friday morning in Sri Lanka, and we're in Trincomalee.
Trincomalee.
Yeah.
Trincomalee.
According to Wikipedia, the locals often call this Trinco, which is a lot easier to say. And it is a city in the northeastern part of Sri Lanka, 237 kilometers, 147 miles northeast of Colombo. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but driving on these roads, it takes a long time. We left yesterday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning and got here at 8 o'clock at night. And yes, we did have a few stops on the way, but it takes a long time to drive here. The traffic is insane. The cars and the tuk-tuks and the motorcycles, they don't keep their lanes. They change lanes whenever they want. And for somebody coming from the western part of Europe, it seems pretty disorganized. And I was also told that in this country, with a little more than 20 million people, 6 people get killed in the traffic every single day. So it is dangerous, and you really need to stay alert. So I was impressed with our driver, having been driving for this long, because you can't be not focused all the time. There was a point where we were driving through some small villages. A cow was walking in the streets as well, so you really need to stay alert. This place is by the beach, and as far as I know, by the most beautiful beach in Sri Lanka. And we're in a hotel that is located right on the beach. It was dark when we got here, so I haven't been looking at the beach yet, and right now it's 8 in the morning, and we're just about to go exploring. But this afternoon we're getting to spend some time at the beach, so I'm hoping to get a quick swim this afternoon.
Trincomalee has the 6th largest natural harbor in the world.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Natural harbor.
Wow.
6th largest natural harbor.
Wow.
This is Pradeep, one of the drivers and guides on this trip.
And that's a very important place for everybody in the world, because in the bay, in the port, you can hide the ships and everything. That's why Americans, Europeans and other country people, they keep eye on Trincomalee harbor.
Okay, yeah.
Because there are so many spaces to land the ships in this Trincomalee harbor. So all the Europeans and Americans, they want to keep this Trincomalee harbor, because from here they can rule other part of the Asia, especially South Asia. It was important even during Second World War. British and Japanese and Americans, everybody want to keep the Trincomalee harbor.
This morning we're visiting Koneswaram temple in Trincomalee, the temple of the 1,000 pillars. It's a classical medieval Hindu temple complex. It's set on a peninsula. Fort Frederick was built by the Portuguese in the 17th century. Within its grounds, the Grand Koneswaram temple stands on the Swami Rock Cliff, a popular point for blue whale watching, by the way.
As we're walking here talking, we were just stopped because we were wearing shoes, and we're about to go into the temple. I would just pass the place where you're supposed to put your shoes. So now we're bare feet.
The holy complex contains ornate shrines and a massive statue of Shiva.
That's God Shiva and his wife Parvati. Shiva Parvati. Shiva is the most powerful god in Hinduism. Yeah. He has 3 eyes. His wife is Parvati.
And 4 arms.
Yeah.
As you might remember from the first episode here from Sri Lanka, Hinduism isn't the biggest religion here. It's Buddhism for around 69% of Sri Lankans. Hinduism is around 18%. But it's the world's 3rd biggest religion and has been called the oldest religion in the world. When you think of Hinduism, you probably think of the statues with many arms, and boy, are there a lot of them in this temple. A name that keeps popping up is King Ravana. He ruled Sri Lanka almost 5,000 years ago. We see him on many paintings and statues inside the temple. He's always got a great mustache and almost always many arms and even many heads. It's because Ravana had so many skills and he could do so many things. Super intelligent, a great ruler, and super strong. According to our guide Pradeep, he also had a hot temper. Leaving the temple, we were walking on a bridge over a cliff. Rocks on both sides and deep down below, water. According to the legend, King Ravana made this. One day he was so angry and he swung his sword down into the ground and created this huge cliff. A bit later we got to some hot springs, some wells with natural hot water in them. And again, the legend says that this was made by King Ravana and his hot temper.
The story about this is that this is the place King Ravana created spring wells. So King Ravana when he do his mother's funeral religious activity, he wanted to do some water. So at that time he couldn't find out water, so he got his sword and hit 7 times on the earth.
He's very good with the sword.
Then water came out. But because of his hot temper, because he was angry at that time, the water was so hot.
From what I heard, seriously, a guy that could use a bit of anger management.
He's a warrior.
I think it's the mustache.
But they see him as the best king they'd ever had. Pradeep tells me that he even invented flying long before the Wright brothers, almost 5,000 years ago.
He is not only the king, he is a master of engineering. He is the person who found aeroplane in the first, not all Wright brothers, because he had aeroplane called Danumondra Yantre or Pushpak Vimana. He used it to go to India and take the Sita to Lanka. Ramayana history has happened.
It was before the Wright brothers.
Yeah, before the Wright brothers, a long time ago.
I have received another letter from a listener that I'd like to share with you before we continue in Sri Lanka. This one is from one of my listeners in Canada. Hi Palle, I just found your podcast today and been binging your West African episodes as I was walking along Bloor Street in Toronto at about 7 p.m. on my way from work to my choir rehearsal this evening. My brother is about to move from Brussels to Dakar for work in November, so I was looking for a podcast to help me imagine what his life will be like when he moves there. And yours was very helpful, so thank you. I hope you're continuing to enjoy your travels and don't hesitate to get in touch if you're passing through Toronto and would like a coffee or even a place to stay for a night or two. I would love to hear more about your travels in person. Take care, Shifra. Thank you, Shifra. And sorry for probably saying your name wrong. Being from Toronto, you should go back and listen to my episodes from Toronto, and you will know that Toronto is one of my favorite cities. I will definitely come back, so I'll take you up on that coffee. If you also like to send me a mail telling me where you are and what you're doing right now, please send it to listener@theradiovagabond.com or send me a voice message on WhatsApp +45 40 105 105. Now, back to Sri Lanka.
It's early in the morning, before 6, here on the east coast of Sri Lanka, and I got up early and walked a few steps to the beach, and now I'm sitting in the sand here, and I set up my camera so I can make a great time lapse of the sun rising in a few minutes. And while I'm doing that, a group of 10, 11 young men are pulling a rope from the ocean. I have no idea what's at the end of the rope. I cannot see. There's nothing out there. I don't know if they're fishing or pulling up a net or something like that. That's my guess. And they walked straight in front of my camera. And I said, oh no. Now they're out of the shot again. But they pull this rope out of the ocean and pull it onto the beach. And whenever there's they reach the back of the beach, they detach themselves from the rope and then walk out again and tie their waist against up to the rope again, and then start pulling again.
It was a net with fish they were pulling out of the water, and at some point I went over there and helped them pull the rope. Somebody told me that when tourists do that, they share a few of the fish with the people that have helped them. I didn't stay to the very end. I needed to go and get ready for the next day of exploring. You can go to theradiovagabond.com and see the pictures that I took this morning. As I mentioned, we're staying at a hotel that's literally on the beach, just a little bit north of Trincomalee. The hotel is called Pigeon Island Beach Resort, and it's a place I wish I had the opportunity to stay for a week, especially when I saw that they also have a scuba diving center. It's been too long since I've been scuba diving. But the itinerary didn't give me time for that, so I guess it just gives me a reason to come back to Sri Lanka. And now, facts about where we are. Facts about where we are. The highest point in Sri Lanka is Mount Pedro, reaching 2,524 meters above sea level. There are over 22 national parks and 8 UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Sri Lanka. With over 400 waterfalls, Sri Lanka has perhaps the largest number of waterfalls of any country in the world in comparison to its size. Bambarakandi Falls is the tallest waterfall in the country with a height of 263 meters. And that was Facts About Where We Are. It was time to head down to Habarana, 100 kilometers, 62 miles, southwest of Trincomalee. This is where we're staying tonight and also where we're going into the nature. When we get close, we leave the paved road and get into a small clearing in the forest. The first thing I see are some white bulls. We're about to go deep into the forest on small Bullock carts.
We're in the forest here in Sri Lanka and on a cart with 2 white bulls in front of us pulling this bull. We're 4 people in the cart and we're heading down a dirt road to go visit an authentic Sri Lankan village.
I was in the front with a guy steering the cart and controlling the bulls. We were sitting right behind the 2 bulls. He had commands for left, right, stop, and go faster.
Left side this Peter.
Yeah.
Right side Makma language. Okay. Let's go this Hajaha. Okay. Stop this how.
A break. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh?
Whoa.
They seemed to be quite lazy, but he was sitting right behind them, and when he swung his leg just a little bit, he would give them a gentle kick in the balls, and that would make them go fast. So that's your speeder. When it's like in a car, you push that with your right foot in the car, and then they go fast.
This my language.
Yeah.
Yeah. My language, left and right side. This is my language. Yeah.
Halfway there, he gave me control of the cart and jumped off. So there I was, controlling the bulls and the Bullock cart on a small dirt road in a forest in Sri Lanka. Now, that was a first for me. And no, I did not kick any balls.
Life is short, and there is so much to explore. I won't let a second go to waste. Yeah, time goes fast. I better step it up now. Take some chances, cut some ropes. Ooh, ain't gonna wait much longer. There will be no sleep tonight. I'll chase my dreams while I'm still young and single. Nothing's gonna stop me, no. I have to run, 'cause life is now.
Whoa. Stop.
Whoa.
It's very nice. Yeah.
It's tutti.
When we got there, we still had a bit of a walk to do.
Thanks. Along this dirt road that we're walking on right now, heading towards the village, there's a few small tree huts, 4 meters up in a tree, and that's meant for somebody to be guards over the fields during the night time, in case some animals come in and try to eat their crop. He's up there. He's not sleeping. He's awake. He's taking care of to scare the animals away. Not by shooting them. Maybe he's got firecrackers. Maybe he's got a drum, but his job is just to scare them off. And the reason they're this high up in the trees is that elephants also come here. The crop on that field, is that rice?
Sorry?
Or what is on this field? What kind of crop is it?
That's rice.
That is
Paddy,
rice.
yeah, paddy field, rice.
Okay. So it's not supposed to be. I know rice fields are normally in a lot of water.
Yeah, rice needs a lot of water. Rice plant, paddy plant need lot of water. That's why reservoir or the tanks are building in this area.
Yeah.
Here raining only 3 months of the year.
Okay.
So people need to get water for the cultivation. That's why they built tanks. When there is a tank, during rainy months, water gathered as much as possible. Yeah. And these water used for everything, for bathing, for drinking, for cultivation, for washing, and for cattle feed, everything.
And it's good enough for drinking water as well.
Yeah, because this tank also people protect very carefully. They don't pollute the water of the tank.
No.
There is a separate places for bathing and separate place for drinking.
We crossed the river in kind of a catamaran, a double-paired canoe that they use for fishing. The river wasn't that wide, but that's because it's dry season right now. In the wet season, the water level would rise a couple of meters, 6 to 8 feet, and the river would get much wider. We're heading towards a small village where we're going to experience a traditional, authentic village lunch and get a local cooking demonstration. We also go on an elephant safari and see herds of elephants in the wild. And that's in the next episode of the Radio Vagabond.
Now we are going to prepare the sambal, one of taste Sri Lankan, like a salad.
The Radio Vagabond is partly supported by Hotels25.com, and the trip to Sri Lanka was made possible by Sri Lanka Tourism. But everything I've said in this episode is my own genuine opinion. You can see more on srilanka.travel. The Radio Vagabond is produced by radioguru.co.uk, and on theradiovagabond.com you can see pictures and find the links to everything I mentioned. My name is Palabo. I'll be back with so much more here from Sri Lanka, and I'm so looking forward to that. See ya!